3 million lights stretching 8 kilometers along the Niagara Parkway. Over 1 million people visit this every single year, and it's completely free to attend. Today we're looking at the business of Christmas lights, and the case study for today is the Niagara Falls Winter Festival of Lights. It's one of the most spectacular holiday light displays in North America. So cities across Canada are spending millions on holiday light displays, and they're treating them not just as decorations, but as infrastructure investments. And the returns can be massive. But here's the thing, this is not just about holiday cheer. This is about economics. Cities spend millions on displays like this because they actually pay. So today, I'm following the money from municipal budgets through tourism dollars to the environmental costs of all these lights. Let's see if these displays actually pay for themselves. Before we go on, let's take a quick trip down memory lane to the history of holiday lights. Christmas lights used to be very simple. A few decorations, some wreaths here and there, and done. But somewhere between the 1980s and 2000s, Canadian cities realized that holiday lights could actually be economic engines. So what started as community decoration has evolved now into multi-million dollar spectacles that have been designed to attract tourists and activate dead winter economies. But what does it really cost to create a major light display? Let's break it down. So the investment varies dramatically by scale. Small towns may spend like tens of thousands annually on basic decorations, some street lighting, and a community tree lighting ceremony. Mid-cities will typically spend like hundreds of thousands for more elaborate displays across multiple locations with professional installation crews and year-round storage facilities. But major displays like Niagara Falls, we're talking investments that can run into the millions when you factor in everything from purchasing lights, installation labor, electricity, which I'll get to in a moment, maintenance, storage, traffic management, public safety, marketing, and insurance. And here's what most people don't realize. These are not just annual operating costs. Cities are actually making multi-year capital investments. LED systems that last for 10 to 15 years, permanent infrastructure, they're basically amortizing this cost over time. But where does all this money come from? I mean, definitely taxes. But the answer is more complicated and more creative than you may think. Cities will typically use a blend of 5 main funding sources: municipal operating budgets, corporate sponsorships, business improvement districts, utility company programs, and tourism fund. First, let's look at the traditional route. That's the municipal operating budget, aka your tax dollars. Cities allocate funds for holiday displays the same way they would budget for parks and road maintenance. But they face intense scrutiny over the spending, as they should. Every dollar spent on Christmas lights is a dollar not spent on fixing potholes or hiring police officers. But cities are also not just footing the entire bill alone. Corporate sponsorship is huge. Ontario Power Generation, for example, sponsors the Niagara's festival. The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation is also a major partner. Cogeco, the Niagara Falls Bridge Commission, all of these corporations see value in associating their brands with holiday magic. Even utility companies sponsor displays to demonstrate LED efficiency. It's that marketing that is disguised as community support. But why do companies pay these sums? On one hand, it's brand visibility. Millions of people would see these displays in person and through media coverage. That's good for the company. Then there's the positive association. Aligning with the holiday cheer creates that warm feeling towards the brand. And then there's the social media amplification. Every Instagram post with a sponsored display is basically free advertising. And for cities, sponsorships are essentially free money. A 200,000 corporate sponsorship means that a city can install 200,000 more in lights without spending 1 penny in tax revenue. And then there's also business improvement districts, which are special zones where local business would typically pay additional fees to fund improvements. It's based on the principle that if businesses benefit from increased foot traffic, they should also chip in for things that drive this foot traffic. So a downtown business improvement district might collect $500,000 annually from member businesses through mandatory fees. That money would fund like sidewalk cleaning, security, and things like holiday lights decorations. And then there's utility companies which will typically partially fund lighting programs by offering rebates to cities that switch to LEDs. Also, provincial tourism ministries will sometimes offer grants for attractions like holiday lights that drive winter tourism. But how exactly do city councils justify spending millions on lights when there are issues like potholes to fix and housing crises to address? 2 words: economic impact. Cities commission studies showing that every dollar invested in holiday lights is able to generate multiple dollars in tourism revenue. So they point to hotel tax income, increased property values near display areas, and the year-round reputation benefits. And politically, holiday lights are visible win. Constituents love them. I love them. Media coverage is positive. It's relatively low risk compared to controversial infrastructure projects. Now for the critical question, is this money well spent and do cities actually get a return on their investment? Let's look at the data, because data does not lie. And the numbers tell a very compelling story. The Winter Festival of Lights started in 1983 with modest displays. The first year, it was about 250,000 people and 35 motor coaches. Today, over 1 million visitors annually and more than 750 motor coaches throughout the season. 3 million lights across 75 plus displays along an 8-kilometer route, running for 10 plus weeks from mid-November through to early January. That's double the length of traditional Christmas markets. And it's completely free. No admission, no ticket, just show up. The only thing I've had to pay for today is the mega bus tickets from Union Station to here. So how does a free event generate multiple economic impacts? The answer is hotels. In the summer, Niagara Falls hotel occupancy rates hit between 78 to 85% because people naturally visit the falls. But in the winter, without the festival, occupancy would plummet. The Winter Festival of Light keeps hotels busy when they would otherwise be struggling. Summer hotel rates at Fall Views properties would average like $350 to $600 per night for mid-range options. Winter rates without a festival could drop to as low as $180 to $250. But with the festival running, especially during peak holiday weekends, hotels are able to maintain stronger rates and higher occupancy. But the hotel rooms are just the beginning, and this is where the multiplier effect kicks in. Visitors are not just sleeping in hotels, they are eating at restaurants that would struggle to stay open in winter, they're shopping at retail stores, they are visiting casinos, they are going to other attractions, they are paying for parking, they are using rideshare services, and the list goes on. Economists estimate that for every dollar of direct tourism spending, there's a multiplier effect of 1.5 to 2.5 times in the local economy. So if someone spends $200 on a hotel room, that generates an additional $300 to $500 in related economic activity. For the restaurants and bars in particular, the festival is a lifeline. Winter is slow season, but these lights, they bring consistent foot traffic from mid-November through early January, allowing this business to retain staff and remain viable. And from the city's perspective, the return on investment is measurable. There's hotel taxes from increased bookings, sales taxes from retail and dining, parking revenue, property taxes from thriving businesses. Plus, there's intangible value as well. Niagara Falls brand as a year-round destination. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Electricity. Running millions of lights for hours every single night costs money. A lot of money. 3 million lights running from dusk to midnight, 7 days a week for 10 weeks. We're talking serious power consumption. To put in perspective, your home Christmas light display may cost you maybe $50 for the season if you're using LED lights. If yours costs way more than that, please let me know. But now imagine that multiplied by thousands. Here's the thing, traditional Christmas lights were energy monsters. Cities running old incandescent bulbs would see electricity bills in the tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars per season. But then LED light changed everything. LEDs use 80 to 90% less energy than old incandescent bulbs, and they last 20 to 25 times longer. In 2016, Niagara Falls made a switch to LED. Now the lights are brighter, more colorful, and they cost a fraction to run. So the economics are simple. Yes, LED costs more upfront, sometimes double or triple the price of old bulbs, but they pay for themselves within 2 to 4 years through the energy savings realized. And after that, pure profit. So a display that used to cost tens of thousands in annual electricity might now cost a quarter of that. Over a decade, we're talking hundreds of thousands in savings. And that's why cities have rushed to convert to LED bulbs. It's not just good for the environment, it's good business as well. But here's the reality check. Even with all that efficiency, running millions of lights for weeks still uses substantial power. We're talking the equivalent of powering hundreds of homes. So let's talk about the environmental side. Cities are in a tough spot. On one hand, they have climate commitments, net zero target, public pressure to reduce carbon emissions. On the other hand, these light displays generate millions in economic activity, create thousands of jobs, and keep winter tourism viable. So the question becomes, is it worth it? The switch to LED helps, of course. Converting a major display from incandescent to LED can definitely reduce carbon emissions, equivalent to about taking 15 to 20 cars off the road for a year. That's significant progress. In Ontario, for example, where Niagara Falls is located, the electricity grid is relatively clean, mostly hydro, nuclear, and renewables, so the carbon impact per light is lower than in regions that burn coal for power. But let's be honest, even LED displays consume enormous amounts of energy. And then there's all those visitors driving or flying in to see the lights. The total environmental footprint is real. So for now, cities are trying to find the balance. Some are shortening operating hours, closing at 10 p.m. instead of midnight. Others are using motion sensors that dim lights when crowds thin out. Many are buying renewable energy credits or carbon offsets to counterbalance their emissions. Vancouver's giant Christmas tree, for example, uses energy-efficient bulbs. Toronto emphasizes sustainability in their displays. These are not just marketing talking points. Cities genuinely want to reduce their impact while keeping the economic engine running. But we need to call something out. Marketing LED displays as green or sustainable is misleading. Yes, LEDs are better than the old way, but better doesn't mean good. Because running millions of lights still consume massive energy. And corporate sponsors slapping their logos on LED displays and calling them environmentally responsible, that's greenwashing, plain and simple. The honest truth is this: LED displays are less bad, pardon my bad grammar, than incandescent ones. They're massive improvements, definitely, but there's still an environmental cost we're choosing to pay for the economic benefits. From a pure cost-benefit perspective, LED lights are actually one of the more efficient uses of energy that cities make. The return per kilowatt hour is remarkably high. So it's a trade-off. Economic survival versus environmental impact, jobs and tourism revenue versus carbon emissions. Most cities have decided the trade-off is worth it, especially with LED efficiency that is able to reduce the impact by 80 to 90% from the old days. But that debate is not settled, and it's one that cities will keep grappling with as climate targets get more aggressive. Now let's take a closer look at Niagara Falls. Why does Niagara Falls model work so well when other cities struggle? First, they have the falls, which is already a world-famous destination. The lights themselves don't have to create a reason to visit. They simply extend the season of an existing tourist draw. Second, there's geography. Millions of Americans live within driving distance to the fall, so there's cross-border tourism, which is very huge here. The Buffalo Niagara region alone has over 1 million people. Then add Toronto's metro area at 6 million plus people, and you've got massive population density nearby. Third is infrastructure. This is not just lights in the park. There are dozens of hotels, hundreds of restaurants, casinos, attractions, entertainment venues. Visitors can make a full weekend out of this trip. Then fourth, the scale and variety. 8 kilometers of displays, 75 installations, multiple zones with different themes. It's destination worthy. So people specifically plan trips just to see this. There was a whole display on the Dufferin Islands that I couldn't even get to. Fifth, there's length of season. Running 4 to 10 weeks instead of the usual 4 to 6 weeks spreads their fixed cost and maximizes the tourism windows. So there's more opportunities for visitors to attend. Sixth is collaboration. The strong public-private partnership means that no single entity has to bear all the cost or all the risks. Tourism organizations, government, private sector, everyone is contributing because everyone benefits. Seventh is the continuous reinvestment. They don't let it get still. Every year there's a new display, there are technology upgrades. That LED conversion in 2016, that's the kind of evolution that keeps visitors coming back. And finally, there's integration. Everything works together. You see the lights, you stay at an hotel with a falls view, you eat at Clifton Hill restaurant, you visit the casino, maybe watch the daytime attractions too. It's a complete tourism ecosystem. Now, compare this to cities that tried and failed with holiday life. The common problems that they had were poor location without supporting infrastructure, scale mismatch, probably too small to attract tourists or too expensive for locals only. There was insufficient marketing, there were too many competing displays nearby, there was nothing else to do besides see the lights. Niagara has none of these problems. They have natural advantages and they've also maximized them through smart investment and collaboration. Niagara has found that pragmatic balance. They acknowledge the environmental impact but justify it through economic necessity. They've converted to LED, reducing their impact by like 80 to 90%, while still maintaining the scale required to drive tourism. They navigate sustainability criticism by pointing to jobs created, businesses sustained, communities supported. And for a region that depends on tourism, the Winter Festival of Lights isn't luxury spending, it's economic infrastructure. Is it perfect? No. But it's a model that works for what it needs to accomplish. So here's the bottom line. Holiday light displays are not just about festive cheer. They are calculated economic investments that cities treat as essential infrastructure. And the numbers back it up. Hotels stay occupied, restaurants stay open, jobs stay intact. But there's a cost. Even with LED efficiency reducing energy consumption by 90%, running millions of lights for weeks generates substantial environmental impact. Adding visitor transportation emissions and the carbon footprint is real. The future will determine if cities can maintain these economic benefits while still meeting climate goals. Can projection mapping replace physical lights? Can renewable energy offset consumption? Can displays get smarter and smaller without losing their appeal? One thing is clear, holiday lights have evolved from decorations into economic engines, and for tourism-dependent communities that are battling Canadian winters, they are not optional, they are survival tools. So the question isn't whether cities should invest in holiday lights. The question is, how can they do it smarter, cleaner, and more sustainably while still delivering the economic returns their communities depend on? As we head deeper into the 21st century, this tension between economic necessity and environmental responsibility will define the future of holiday lighting. And cities like Niagara Falls will be testing grounds for whether we can have both. The business of Christmas lights turns out to be surprisingly solid business. If you enjoyed this, you should check out this video here where I look into the economic impact of Christmas markets. And if you're a city council member or municipal officer watching this, I hope this helps make the business case for your next budget meeting. You're welcome. If you're not yet subscribed, please do, and remember to turn on notifications. I post Canada-related travel content, travel guides, hotel reviews, and cost breakdown. And now I'm creating content looking at economics behind travel and tourism. Until we meet again, thanks, and see you soon.